Have you ever been in a situation where you feel like people are plotting against you? You know that people are plotting against you, but when they're plotting against you, they don't plot against you in the open. They plot against you generally in the darkness, behind the scenes. And so it is with the enemy. Satan, especially, when he is planning and plotting, he plot behind the scenes. He move behind the scenes. He and his cohorts, they plot behind the scenes. And so it is. When we look at this Psalms chapter 64, we are going to see how the enemies of David, they were plotting to bring him down. And they were plotting and they were scheming, they were planning, and they were putting all the diabolical plans together behind the scenes with lies, with deceits. And we're going to see how it work out. And so it is in our lives. We experience that. And some of us, sadly, are a part of this. Plotting and behind the schemes to bring down people. That is sad. And that's how evil works. It works behind the bushes, but then you can see it effects in the open. Now, with that said, let's go into the Psalms chapter 64. Good morning, saints, and welcome to the Dixon's Devotion with Pastor Dixon. Today we are going to be looking at Psalms chapter 64. Psalms chapter 64. Now, Psalms chapter 64, as I said previously, no one knows exactly when Psalms chapter 64, chapter 63, and all these psalms were written. But we can see, especially when we look at Psalms chapter 64, it has similarities. Its language is similar to that of Psalms chapter 58. And in Psalms chapter 58, you can see it was also written to the chief musician, like the introduction of Psalm 64 said, to the chief musician, indicating that this psalm, as we know, it's a psalm of David written to the chief musician, a psalm written by David, and he wrote it to the chief musician. And we know the chief musician back then could be a choir director or someone who was in charge of the music. And it is clear that David wants this psalms to be written, to be known publicly, so people can sing it and people can see and get blessings from it and get warnings from it. But now, as I said, these psalms have a lot of similarities with Psalms chapter 58. And no one knows exactly the context of Psalms chapter 64. When it was written, some believe that it was written during the time when David was running from his son Absalom. Some believe during the time when he was running from Saul. And we don't know. But exactly when we look at Psalms chapter 58 and we make the connotation because their language are so similar, you know, in Psalms chapter 58 it said to the chief musician in Al-Kashet, and also a Mitkam of David to the chief musician in Al-Kashet. And we know Mitkam means words in writing, something in writing or something written in gold. And I said advice written in gold. But also when we see Al-Kashet means in silence, written in silence, hidden in silence. So when we look at this is a psalm that David wrote in silence, but yet he wanted it to be known publicly after everything blew over, after God revealed what the plot and what was plotted against David. David now wants the psalms to be revealed. So it said to the chief musician in Psalms chapter 64, a psalm of David to the chief musician. Now, understanding all of this, as I said, it could be when he was running from his son Absalom, or when he was running from Saul, how they were trying to plot against him and were trying to bring him down many times. We don't know the exact situation, But if it is related to Psalms chapter 58, a strong connotation might be when he was running from Saul. But nevertheless, the idea as we go to the Psalm, we are going to see how people plot in secret to bring down their enemies and their foes. So when we look at Psalms chapter 58, we're going to read the first 4 verses. It said, hear me, my God, as I voice my complaint, reading from the NIV. Protect my life from the threat of the enemy. Hide me from the conspiracy of the wicked, from the plots of evildoers. They sharpen their tongues like swords and aim cruel words like deadly arrows. They shoot from ambush at the innocent. They shoot suddenly without fear. Now, when we look at this, we see it set up the plot, the schemes of the enemy. But before we go any further, let's go into a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for your word as we look at this psalm this morning in our devotion. Have your way. Give us insight and understanding in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, the whole context, as I said, we are not sure it was during the time when Saul was running from his son Absalom, or when he was David was running from his son Absalom, or when David was running from Saul. We are not sure the context of it. But we are certain that somebody was scheming and planning and plotting to destroy David. And he said, hear me, my God. His address is to God. Hear me, my God, as I voice my complaint. So here, from verse 1 to verse 4, we see the plot of the enemy in secret. The plot of the enemy in secret, or the deceit of the enemy in secret. Hear me, my God, as I voice my complaint. Protect my life from the threat of the enemy. So David is in a situation. Some people try to bring down his life, and he's crying out to God, hear me, hear me, hear me. Oh God, as I voice my complaint. David did not know who to trust, because he knows somebody was trying to bring him down. As the king of Israel, if it was during the time when he was running from his son Absalom, or we don't know if when he was out there with his army as rebels, or you could say a rebel army in the wilderness running from Saul, people were plotting to bring down David. So David did not know who to trust. And he said, Lord, the only person I could come to is you, because you're the only person who know all things and sees all things. He said, protect my life from the threat of the enemy. Look, all of us in life have enemies. We might not be enemy to people, but hey, take it. People got something against us. People got something against you. There's no person in this world where they do not have some kind of enemy, or somebody who is against them, or somebody who don't like them. And that's a fact. And people try to bring you down, whether it's in the workplace, whether wherever you go. Sometimes your enemy might be in your home. Sometimes your enemy might be in society, your community, your neighbor. We don't know. But all of us have some kind of enemy. And when people hate is a strong emotion. When people hate somebody, they go to the lengths and breadth to bring them down. So here David is saying, protect my life from the threat of my enemy. So he's saying, Lord, you're the only person who I can turn to, who I can trust. Protect my life from the threats of the enemy. And this is what David is saying right here. So we see the conspiracy, the plot. Verse 2. Hide me from the conspiracy of the wicked, from the plots of evildoers. So they were conspiring against David to bring him down. The wicked, he called them. They were trying to defeat him or to bring him down. So they were plotting on the evildoers, because what they were doing is evil. And we're going to see they were using words, lies. It was not a physical battle. with swords and with spears and with knives and these kind of things. It was a verbal battle. Let me tell you something. Verbal attacks are more powerful and deadly than physical attacks. Let me reiterate this. Verbal attacks are more deadly than physical attacks. Verbal attack will destroy your character, your career, and will destroy your very perception for life. And it lingers on, it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. Physical attack, it might bruise you, wound you, and you can recover. And sometimes even if you die, well, you die, people remember you're gone on. But verbally, what is done verbally is left in the ear. Sometimes it is left in writing. Sometimes it is left in recording. So throughout history, people can go back and play all these things. So verbal attack is very deadly. And look at what he said. Hide me from the conspiracy of the wicked, from the plot of the evildoers. Behind their scenes, they're trying what we can do to bring down a person. Let me see that in our politics, man. In our politics, when somebody go up to run, they bring you down verbally in the court. They try you in the court of public opinion. They just bring up sometime a fabrication, and it is just a fabrication, but it's gone, and the masses take it in. They're not waiting to see if this is true or not. But once it's out there in public opinion, hey, it is hard to take it back. So they were plotting, what can we say? What can we do? What can we come up with to bring down David? And so it is. What can we say in public? What can we say? Somebody only got to say something. It could be even a disgusting word, and it is not true. But those who follow you will take it, and they will regurgitate it, and they will repeat it as facts. So the cruelty, and we're going to see this, the plot and the scheme of the enemy, it's a plot of words. Look at this. Verse 3, they sharpen their tongues like swords. Look at this. And aim cruel words like deadly arrows. So they sharpen the tongue like swordsmen. Some people, tongue is like a two-edged sword. It's sharp. They sharpen it. They sharpen it under the grindstone of lies. The grindstone of lies. They sharpen their tongue. And when they speak, it cut. Because some people might have a lot of authority. And people with authority, they could say something false. And what they say something false against somebody, it could have, an indelible mark on that person for a long, long time. Those who have influence, watch what you say with your tongue. You can hurt people. Now, here is it. Whoever the enemy was at this time, they were planning and they were scheming behind the scheme. What can we say? What can we dig up? What can we come up with? Even if it's not true, we could just put in a taint of lies in it. And we can make it sound truthful. And just put it out there to bring down David. Because you know David was a righteous man, a man after God's own heart. And saints, when you're living for God, let me tell you, Satan is going to do everything he can to bring you down. So look at that. So their words are sharp, and they aim with cruel words and deadly arrows. They're like a sharp sword, and they got a point. Words can cut, and words can pierce. They're like swords, and they have a point. Their point can stick, and stick hard, and pierce hard. So watch our words. Watch what we say. But most importantly in the psalm, those who are plotting to bring down people, lies and deceit with words are deadly and dangerous. Look at verse 4. They shoot from ambush at the innocent. They shoot suddenly without fear. In other words, these deceitful words, they've been plotting it. They've been plotting it, and not only that, they know at the appropriate time to let go these words in the public space. They know at the appropriate time when to release these arrows. It's like they're ambushing you. They're not coming to you and tell you. I think it's one saying, it is better to have an open liar than to have a deceitful liar who's lurking in the dark and planning and plotting. He's like a viper, he's like a snake. But an open liar, even though we are not encouraging lies, lying, but an open liar is much safer. It's like an angel, he said. One of the saints, I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it's Spurgeon. Can't remember if it's Martin Lloyd-Jones. He said, an open liar is like an angel compared to a deceitful liar who lurks in the dark. And one person said, look, I think it's Martin Lloyd-Jones for sure, said this, that the battle is not fear, because the enemy plots his schemes in darkness while the saints are honest in the open. So the battle is not fear. So when you least expect it, when you least, they hold on to that, and at the appropriate time, that's when they're going to shoot it. When you're not aware of it, and they're going to at your height, at your zenith, when you're ready to do something great, that's when they strike it, ambush you, and they do it without fear. In other words, they do it without any repercussion. They don't care about the repercussion. All they know, they hurt you, and all they know, they give it to you good and in the right time. And this is what he's talking about. They're not thinking about, boy, if I do this to this person, somebody else can do this to me too, because I have a reputation. Or what about if this, what I'm doing, is revealed and people realize how evil and how diabolical I am. But with ambush, they do it at the appropriate time. Let me say this, saints, you might think all is well with you. You might think that you don't have no enemy. You're well with everybody. That's from your point of view. But there might be somebody out there who just hates your guts. There's somebody out there who just hates you and you don't know. It might be a close friend. It could be a close relative. We don't know. It could be a neighbor you talk to every day. But something about you, or something that you have that they don't have, something that they're jealous, or something, and they get against you, and they're planning against you, and you don't know where it's going to come from, and they throw a dart and it hits you unexpected. It's so unassuming and unexpected, and they hit you, and it hit you hard because you didn't expect it. So you see, this is what David is saying. It was unexpected. I know with Absalom for sure it could be a strong possibility. It was during the time of Absalom, because David did not expect his son to do it, to the point that he get up and he run from his throne. So they shoot without fear. And so it is when people try to plot and ambush. Look at verse 5. They encourage each other in evil plans. So we see the secret diabolical plan of the enemy, and we see it's not just one person who is scheming with them, it's many. I always say a friend has a friend. I come to realize something in life, that I might have a friend, and this friend is a friend to somebody else who is your enemy and you don't know. And you have people, when they're planning and they're plotting, they have company. Misery love company. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You might have somebody who is your enemy, and they might be one another's enemy, but you become their main enemy, and those two enemies will gang up to get you down. So hear what he's saying. They encourage each other in evil plans. So We know right here, this plan is evil, and they know it because they're doing it without fear. They know what they're doing because it's lies, it's words, it's verbal attack. It's a lie, but all they do is they just twist the lie a little. The truth, you can take the truth and all they do just twist the truth a little, and it just only take a little tweaking of truth to make it sound plausible and to make it sound reasonable and to make it sound true. A deadly scheme, a deadly lie that must have some level of truth in it for it to sound plausible. But here it is, it's a cohort of people who are planning and plotting. In other words, while that person is planning, somebody is feeding him the information. He have a friend who is close to you or somebody who is feeding them the information. And in the dark, they come to plot against you. So we see the evil plot of the enemy, and we can see it's a cohort. It's not only evil, but it have company, misery, love company. They encourage each other in evil plans. They talk about hiding their snares. Yeah, let's do something evil. We got to do something evil, but you know what? Keep it on a down low. We got to hide this. We got to hide this. We have to hide this. Keep it on a down low. We have to hide this. Keep it on a down low. We have to hide this. And look at what he said. They talk about hiding their snares, and it's a snares. A snares is like traps they put down, and they're trying everything to trap you. Sometimes they ain't got nothing against you, but they set up the trap. They might ask you to go to some place. Let's go to dinner. You go to dinner and they carry you to some place that you would normally go, and they take pictures and say, see, he went this place. Or they might say, you're a married person, let's go someplace. And when they go, they set up the situation with another woman there and take a picture with you and another woman. And say, see, this is what's going on. And they get the woman, they pay that woman to make up a conspiracy against you. But they do it in secret, in deceit. Or they might set up a scenario, you might be working and they might have somebody who against you because you're succeeding, and they feel like they're the ones supposed to succeed, and they've been there working longer before you, and all of a sudden you just come and you're doing better than them. So what they do? They set up situation to make you look bad. Sneers. And listen to what the Bible said. But they do it in hidden secret. They talk about hiding their sneers. We got to hide it. We got to cover it up. So when it happens, nobody gonna expect it's us. That's how evil works. They say, who will see it? Let's do it. And who will see it? They do it in the dark. Secret society. Diabolical plan. They're very covert. They're not overt. They're not in the open. And look at what verse 6 said. In verse 5 said, who shall know it? Now we're going to bring him down, and we're going to do it so good that nobody going to know, and it's going to be so believable. All we got to do, get something that have some truth in it, but it's not bad, but we could just, twist it a little. It could be that, yes, you were in a certain place, but you were passing, and somebody stopped to ask you a question, and while you were there asking the question, people start to take pictures at you and to confirm you go to this place, you were at this place, you say you preach, and look at where you are. We have pictures, and look at who you were talking to. Probably you were just passing the place and somebody stopped you to talk to you about something that is going on in their life, and because of that you're associated with that place. It could be tragic, and you're a public figure. Sometimes Satan plan and set up these traps, but who shall know it? Look at it. Verse 6. They plot injustice and say, We have devised a perfect plan. Look at that. Oh, man, this plan is perfect. Nobody gonna know. Not himself. Not himself. You going to know what hit you when we're done with you. It is perfect. It is done in secret. It is done in the dark. It is well planned. It is perfect. And nobody will be able to figure it out. And everybody going to believe it is for true because we put it so it is well put together. A well put together plan. Show you how evil and how some people are evil. The heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can know it? Look at it. They plot injustice and say, we have devised a perfect plan. Surely the human mind and heart are cunning. This is what David said. The human heart and mind is very cunning. The heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can know it? Surely to go down to that depths and to go down to that darkness, to get down to that deep darkness just to get at somebody. The human heart is cunning and desperately wicked. Verse 7 now, this is where it shifts. We see the plot, the evil plot of the enemy. We saw the companion of the enemy. But verse 7 shift. God sees all. God knows all. Darkness is light to God. That's what the Bible says. Darkness is light to God, and a lot of time we tend to forget this. But right here is very important. But a conjunction of contrast. But God will shoot them with his arrows. They will be suddenly struck down. Now, when you look at other versions, especially the ESV, it said, they shoot the arrows in the dark, they're like snipers. And they set themselves in a place that nobody see them. But not realize that while they're in the dark, God himself is a sniper too. God have his sniper set up looking at them. So when they're shooting the arrow at you, they know God have his sniper already pointing at them, and they themselves don't know it. So sniper to sniper, one sniper getting at you, but God done got his sniper pointing at them, and they don't know. But look at what the Bible says. Verse 7, but God will shoot them with his arrows. They will suddenly be struck down, and his arrows is not literal. This is not a literal arrows and bows. This is words. In other words, God is going to reveal their plans. The facts will come out when they least expect it. You remember this day in verse 5 and 6. Who shall know it? Who shall see it? We have this devise a perfect plan. Nobody will know it. Not knowing while they're planning for you, God is planning for them, and they don't know. Double planning going on. And while they're ready to shoot their arrows at you, God doesn't have somebody to shoot his arrow at them. In other words, the news is going to blow open. The facts is going to come out, and it's going to reveal and unveil their wicked plots. He said, but God will shoot them with his arrows. They will suddenly be struck down. The arrows of words. The truth, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall what? Set you free. Hold on to God. If you know that you are innocent and people plotting against you, hold on to your God. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But God will shoot them with his arrows. They will suddenly be struck down. They will need to know what hit them. They try to embarrass you, but the embarrassment to them will be so great. Society, the same society who they convinced that you were doing this. When society realized that they're the one who were behind it, and they used them, they were using them to bring you down, and they fooled them. Let me tell you something, that is harder. Society will never trust them again. And their reputation will be worse than yours because they will be taunted as evil, deceitful, deceptive, and diabolical, dangerous. So watch out when we try to impugn other people's character. Watch out when we try to plan and bring down people with lies and deceit. Watch out. The number one thing is to bring down a person is lies and deceit. Today, we live in a world with all kind of what you call social media, news, this. Somebody only had to come out in social media and say something. It gone all over the world like wildfire. Be careful, watch it. Look at verse 8. He will turn their own tongues against them. In other words, a liar has no memory, you know. When it's revealed and they start to talk, they're going to wrap up themselves. The plot, that thing was so perfect. They're going to realize because one person going to say this and the next person going to say that, and they're going to contradict themselves, and people going to realize, wait, this is a bunch of lies going on here. Because it would not add up. Let me tell you, truth, when only the thing that add up is truth. When something is not truthful, it cannot add up. 1 + 1 must be 2. 1 + 1 can't give you 3. So when they start to talk, it's not going to add up. He will turn their tongues against them and bring them to what? Ruin. You see that? They're going to they try to ruin you, they're going to ruin themselves. All who see them will shake their heads. All who see them will shake their heads. Look at these people now, boy. Can't believe that. I can't believe that this is what they were trying to do, boy. Bring down this man, bring down this woman for what? Boy, look at these people, boy. They're dangerous. We go stay away from them there. And whatever job they have, whatever thing, their reputation, nobody going to hire them, nobody going to trust them again, because if they could do something like this and it's revealed, who want them kind of people around them? But this is what he said. Verse 8. He will turn their own tongue against them and bring them down to ruin. All who see them will shake their heads in scorn. Look at this. Verse 9 now. So we see the evil plot of the wicked. We see not only the conspiracy, but we can see, you could say another word, the confederacy of evil, meaning they have a lot of people. It's more than one person who usually plotting this thing. But then we can see God now is revealing in verse 7 and 8. God reveal, unveil, uncover the wicked plot of the enemy. So the uncovering of the wicked plot by God. And verse 9, all people will fear. They will proclaim the works of God and ponder what he has done. In other words, saints, when people out there try to do something against evil, the unsaved, the wicked, but it's sad to say some Christians try to bring down some Christians too, that's something else. But when people out there try to bring you down and they plot evil against you, right now they might be plotting against me, be people plotting against me, I don't know, people plotting against you. But when people are trying to do that and God reveal it, God unveil it, the Bible says all people will fear. Because remember, you go up to verse 5 and 6. They do it in secret, think nobody know. They do it in secret, think that the plot was good. They think nobody see, nobody know. And people will fear, boy, be careful what you're doing, because when we think that people don't know, God have a way. It have a way to come out. It has a way to come out. And sometimes some of the people you're conspiring with this plan, they're the one who bust your bubble. They're the one who unveil it to somebody. They're the one who accidentally, they have a friend too, and they tell the friend, think that the friend ain't gonna say nothing, and then realize that friend is your friend. This world is very technical. You might be enemy to somebody else, and you're enemy to that person, but you have a friend who is a friend to that person. So, and when they hear this, they say, I can't believe that this is what they do to my friend, but I'm going to tell my friend. And then everything just come apart. I always tell people, a friend has a friend. Be careful what you say to people. A friend has a friend. Every friend has a friend, and you don't know who these friends connected to. It's a tight network. And then people gonna fear. People say, bye, watch how these people are doing this thing in evil and secret and think nobody know. And watch how we come out now, then people gonna say, bye, we got to be careful what we say, because be careful what we plan, because we think that people don't know, but God sees and God knows, and they're going to fear God. And they're going to think twice before they go down these roads, because it's deep and dark. But as deep as dark it is, God is right there. There's no depth to it for God. There's no darkness to it for God. The deepness is like shallow ground to God. The darkness is bright light to God, is daylight to God. That's what the Bible says. Verse 9, all people will fear. They will proclaim the works of God and ponder what he has done. They will ponder it by these people. But if they had get off with this would be a well-planned thing. But look at how we fall apart now. Look at how they're being exposed. And when you're exposed, it's double time and triple time harder. People say, boy, you got to fear God, because only God could have revealed this, Man could not have revealed this, Only God could have done this. And they will ponder on what has been done by the wicked, and they will ponder how everything play out, how everything does unravel. Verse 10. Now, the rejoicing of the saints over what God has done. The righteous will rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. All the upright in heart will glory in him. So the righteous will rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. All the upright in heart will glory in him. So we see it right here, how God will reveal the plots of the wicked. So a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when situation like this happen, sometimes it's not good to know that is happening. Because if we know what is happening, we go and we spoil it. In the sense that we make it harder. But sometimes, even if we know that things are happening and we pray and leave it to God, let it play out itself. Somebody always tell me this. If you know that what you're doing is right, say less, do less, and let it play out. Because the more you say, even though you're saying the truth, will help add fuel to the fire. The more you do will make you look suspect. But the less you speak, the less you do, and let God play it out, it's going to unravel in its time. Trust God and people will fear God. Put your refuge in him, not in man. And all upright in heart will glorify him, because when they see that the righteous has been snatched from the jaws of the enemy, have been vindicated, the righteous will rejoice and say, look, you see, God is on our side. God is on our side. Trust God. Fear God. Watch God work. When people plot against you, as I said, we don't know exactly the time when David wrote this, but whoever it was or whoever they were trying to bring down David behind the scene, David said, you know what, my refuge is in God. I'm going to trust God. And at the end of the day, God revealed the plan and the plot. And many times you see it with Saul, when Saul near to kill David, how God delivered him, or how God revealed the plan. Or even with Absalom and his son, we see how God revealed and how God uncovered the plan. Just look at David's life. How many times he near death, and God always find a way for him to escape. And so it is in our life. Trust God. People who plan and devise against us, God will bring them down. Be careful with what we say about others. That's what the Bible is talking about. Our words are more powerful. One person say, a physical attack, you know who the enemy is. But when it comes with words, sniper attack behind the scenes, that's deadly, pernicious, dangerous. It's like a viper in the dark of night. So saints, trust God. We don't know what you might be going through. We don't know who is planning against you. And God forbid that you're planning against somebody. Take it back. Because God is going to reveal it. And if people are planning against you, you would know, because it's in the dark. Because they're planning and plotting to hit you at the appropriate time. You're not supposed to know. But even if you have a hint and an inclination that something is going on, you don't know about it, trust God. And let God reveal and unravel it. And when God reveal and unravel it, let me tell you something. That is going to be the biggest exposure. When God reveal and unravel something, people are going to put their hand to their mouth. What? That is going to be the biggest revelation. And what you're going to do, the rejoicing is going to be greater. And you're going to trust God more. So saints, have a wonderful day. Trust God. And may the Lord's blessings be with you.